Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, citizens of all ages, welcome back to another edition of Star Citizen 3.0.1. Today, I figured I would take a moment and kind of outline my favorite ships. Now, these are obviously going to be my favorite ships that are currently in game. A lot of these ships are really awesome as a whole. Some I like for one reason, others I like just for their aesthetics. Let me rephrase that. Some I like for their aesthetics, others I like for their functionality. Very few do I like both. So for instance, I like the Gladius in its look, but I think it's a little bit weak as a fighter. I mean, obviously it's a light fighter, but I'm glad that they upped it a little bit, which kind of puts it more in line with what I was expecting it to be originally. So they've definitely done better. I kind of like the Gladius, straight up, not gonna lie. The Retaliator, I really like the aesthetics of the Retaliator. Let's call it. So, the Aegis Retaliator. One thing that I really like about it is it's got like this overgrown stealth ship look about it. It's supposed to be, I believe, like a stealth bomber type thing, although I think the Eclipse is kind of moving in on that role. But the way that it looks, it's got a real aggressive look. It's got these nice big, I guess they're engines. They're like for VTOL and forward and backwards movement. Has like 5 turrets on it, and I really wish the pilot at least had access to one of these. One of the reasons the Retaliator kind of doesn't make the cut in terms of my favorite ships is because the pilot has kind of no attack vector. Sure, you've got the size 9 torpedoes, but really most ships can outmaneuver them. You know, it's not until you get to like the Caterpillar, the Starfarer, possibly the Constellations, that those torpedoes become an actual risk. So this one just doesn't make the cut in terms of favorites. Excuse me. So, but I really like its look, and that would be one of kind of the exceptions to what I constitute as a favorite ship. So I would have to say next, my favorite ship would have to be the Aegis Saber. The Saber definitely embodies more of that stealth fighter kind of look. Has 4 size 3 mounts on it. Rear mounts coming with Panthers. Front mounts, even though you can't see them, are actually gimbaled Badgers. So you got 2 gimbaled size 2 Badgers in the front, 2 front-facing, I guess, static size 3 Panthers in the back. I really like this ship. I like the look, I like its function, and this one will actually sit in one of my favorite spots for ships. Second favorite ship would have to be the Aegis Vanguard Warden. Now, as you can see, I've actually got a different weapon on my Warden. I have a forward-facing size 5 M7A with the default 4 forward-facing, which are, for all intents and purposes, M4A repeater lasers. Now, one of the reasons I really like the Warden is it's very functional. Excuse me. It is a heavy fighter, and it fills that role very well. It has really nice defense. It has really great offense. Having that size 5 or gimbaled size 4 weapon on the front can definitely strike fear into your opponent's eyes. Not only that, you get a top turret on, well, the top, which sports 2 size 2 sawbuck ballistic weapons. So you can bring a buddy along, you can solo with this, and the great thing about it is it's got a little bit of an interior, has a bathroom, so it's kind of nice. Has a little engineer station, and I believe it has beds, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go double check that. So this is the interior. I didn't turn the lights on. You got some lockers. Yep, and you've got beds / escape pods. So really, it's got just about everything except for the kitchen sink and or a kitchenette. Coming in next, my favorite chips is the gold standard for fighters, the F7CM Super Hornet. Now, I really like the Super Hornet. The Super Hornet was actually the very first ship I ever flew in Star Citizen. It was a free fly weekend. I had recently just heard about Star Citizen, jumped on, made an account, flew in the free fly, and I had no idea just what I was in for. Let me tell you what. I was actually completely captivated by this ship. I thought it was the coolest. I thought it was so badass. I had no fucking idea what I was doing with it at the time. But ever since then, I was like, man, I want a Super Hornet. This thing is so badass. So this thing has quite the armament. Now, it's got 2 size 2 Badgers on the top turret there. The ball turret, as it's commonly known. There's also generally 2 size 2 M4A weapons, but I almost always swap them out for 2 more Badgers because, well, for pips reasons and, you know, double the firepower. And coming in next is usually 2 size 1 Bulldog repeaters on the nose canard. Now, usually what I will try to do is put distortion cannons in the place of the Bulldogs, as the distortion cannons really take out the shields. But given that everything was halved, shield and hull strength, they're really not necessary. So I've got the Bulldogs back on, and this makes quite the formidable opponent. Excuse me. Let me take a drink real quick. Obligatory Mountain Dew break. Okay. So, yeah. The F7CM Super Hornet, in my opinion, definitely an icon. Definitely a ship I think almost everybody should own, at least in one fashion or another. Whether it be the base Hornet, Tracker, or the Ghost. Not so much on the Tracker or the Ghost, as they don't have the defense buff like the Super Hornet. From my recollection, the Super Hornet has like a 20% damage buff or something baked into the armor. Something along those lines. But that, in conjunction with its sheer firepower and ability to really put down some hurt, Super Hornet is definitely on my list. Next up on the list is the first Drake ship, and it is the quintessential cargo hauler. That's right, talking about none other than the Drake Caterpillar. Now, this particular one is actually the Pirate Edition of the Caterpillar, which comes with a slightly different color scheme, and in my opinion, it just straight up looks better. Has the exact same amount of basically everything that the regular Caterpillar has, but in my opinion makes it a little bit easier on the eyes, better color scheme, and internally the livery also is a little bit better, color scheme basically. It is actually quite the gorgeous ship, and it is by far one of the most nicer ones. Not in terms of its actual design, but in terms of how it looks. Like, it's definitely bare bones, utilitarian, but I really, really dig the fact that it's like that. You know, you got exposed wires everywhere, you know, access panels just leaned up against things. It has turrets with dual size 4 guns on there, multiple cargo bays, which, as you can see, decently large. You can fit a shit ton of cargo in here, and it looks like something that you would see in space. You know, you've got all the exposed metal panelings, like the fans. It's got kind of a little bit of a haze, and when you go to the front, you know, the doors open up here. I don't know if they fixed the animations just yet, but that opens up. You get to see a nice view. Yeah, no, it's still broke. But basically, I'm not even gonna chance it. That, you know, as you can see, it's supposed to be open, and I absolutely love it. I think this is definitely one of the prettier ships, especially currently in the verse. It's like never ending. Yeah, you got 2 beds. There used to be 4. But now there's just the 2 beds, which I think that's okay. There's also a few beds over in the command module. Look into the engine room. I mean, this is just such a badass looking ship. You really can't say otherwise. Access to the lower turret. And then right back out onto the elevator. And that is the Drake Caterpillar. Oh, also has a tractor beam. Right there. I think that's it. Next ship is the Drake Cutlass Black. So, the second Drake ship on this list, and for good reason. This is the Cutlass Black rework, and my god, did they show it some love and do it justice. This definitely seems to hold to the Drake aesthetic. It has 4 size 2, excuse me, 4 size 2 gimbaled Badgers, which you could also swap out for 4 size 3 stationary weapons. I keep the Badgers usually. Sometimes I'll switch them to Panthers. Currently, I've got the Badgers still on them just because it makes it a little bit easier. This also comes with a top turret for a buddy, which also has 2... actually, I think they're size 3 Panthers, now that I think about it. So, you've got a buddy. If you're both on target, you can lay down a whole lot of hurt. Interior-wise, they definitely made this thing fall very close in line to what the Drake aesthetic is. You've got these nice skylights here, that industrial, minimalistic feel, all the exposed paneling. You know, it's very utilitarian and a lot of like little wires. I think they held up very well and really made this a ship that really stands out in terms of level of fidelity, functionality, ability, and it really seems that it is now able to hold its own and live up to what was once promised of it. Next up, in terms of favorite chips, we have the MISC Freelancer. Now, I have a MISC Freelancer because I own a Freelancer MISC, and I was given a base freelancer as the loner. And I've got to say, I've actually rather fallen in love with this little guy. I actually purchased a freelancer very early in my Star Citizen career, but I actually bought it under false pretense, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. I saw a freelancer in the verse, and it had 4 Mantis Gatlings attached to it. So keep in mind, I believe this was during my free fly weekend, so I saw that, and I'm like, ooh, I want that. Saw how much it was. I was like, you know what, for those types of guns, I'll do it. Bought the freelancer, got in the game, and when I saw it only had the tarantulas, boy was I sad. I almost immediately melted it and got a Cutlass Black instead. But since I got a miss, I got the freelancer as the loner. I reluctantly flew it once, and from then on I was like, hey, this is actually a pretty decent little ship. One of the things that originally led me to the freelancer is it has a very slight resemblance to the Serenity from Firefly. And that's actually one of the reasons I really like the Carrack, because that also reminds me of the Serenity. But for ships, the freelancer is the little hauler that could, and I mean that in more ways than one. So it's got the 4 beds for the crew. Well, this used to be a station to open the door, but now we can just do that manually. I believe these are supposed to be a bathroom and a shower, so a toilet and a shower. The cargo area, the extended cargo area, the top-mounted turret, and generally, what I'll do is I'll actually strap on 4 of those size 3 Mantis Gatlings, but with the whole weapon bug and how custom weapons kind of disappear, I've held off. Since I haven't been able to have my my death van, as I like to call it, I've basically the freelancer has kind of been shelved a little bit, but those 4 size 3s, which are gimbaled by the way, can definitely lay down a whole lot of hurt. But I do still have to say the freelancer is pretty high up there on my list of favorite ships. Now, on to what was probably my absolute positively most favorite ship of 2.6, the Starfarer, more specifically, the Starfarer Gemini. Now, during 3.0, I don't know what they did to my baby, but they have absolutely borked it up. This thing doesn't handle the way it used to. This thing doesn't put down hurt the way that it used to. And it really hurts me because of that. I still absolutely love this ship. The militarized version of the refueler. So with it being militarized, it's got better engines, better armor. Same weapons except for the top turret, which is 1 size larger. So those are dual size 5s versus the dual size 4s of the base Starfarer. And if you gave me a choice between the two, I would definitely pick the Gemini, as if you see in that little front piece there, there are actually 9, count them, 9 size 3 missiles. Couple that with the 4 size 4 ballistic weapons on the, I guess you could call it the cheeks of the cockpit, which used to do a lot more damage. It used to be 2 direct hits, sometimes 1 would kill almost anything. They've nerfed the fuck out of it, and it really hurts me. They should have kept the weapon strengths where they were, because this ship was awesome. They screwed with its maneuverability. Not happy with it, but I still absolutely positively love this ship, and let me show you why. So, in my opinion, the Starfarer Gemini held the moniker of Flying Fortress over the Retaliator for me, because, I mean, just look at this. So you got the escape pods. And again, keep in mind, at the time, the weapons that are on the cheeks of the Starfarer were much more powerful. 1 to 2 direct hits would kill just about anything. You have this nice little walkway, a view down to the cargo hold. You can swing around this way on the catwalk. Again, wraparound view of the cargo hold, which not too shabby if you ask me. You've got the nice large size doors for said cargo hold. Vehicles go in very easily with the ramp that they've included. This thing has multiple floors to it, as I'll show. Oh! Well. Okay. Let's try that again. So here's that ramp. Excuse me, I was talking about. Back into the cargo. There's a nice little area underneath the cockpit here. Not quite sure what its exact purpose is. I know it's the docking collar. You got some escape pods down here. Well, maybe it's just that. It's just for the docking collar. There used to be some disco lights that were up here that were really cool. If the ship is in a damaged state, those disco lights come back. Again, you know, you've got the airline stewardess seats, so this would also double as a dropship pretty well, minus its maneuverability and lack thereof. Again, we come back up to the wraparound stairs, wraparound catwalk, and the cool thing about the Starfarer is it has what I like to call the back porch. So, back here where all the fuel tanks are and where the assumed hardware will be to do mid-flight refueling, which I can't help but assume would probably be somewhere down here. You've got this really nice back deck area, as I refer to. When I first got the Starfarer, I would pull away from Olisar and just either stand here or literally sit in the cargo bay and just watch traffic come and go from Olisar. This ship is absolutely amazing. So to forego that weird little glitch that just occurred, let's take one of the many elevators that this ship has. So we take that up. Again, it brings us right to escape pods in case something was happening. Go right into the gravity generator room, which, I mean, just that in and of itself. Knowing this has a gravity generator room, I mean, how cool is that? Then we take a look at one of the engines. You know, and I mean, that's a decent size. You know, that's nothing to scoff at. Again, peppered with escape pods. Can't wait for those to be functional. Then we have these nice long hallways with maintenance tunnels. Yes, fucking maintenance tunnels. You want to talk about a good ship for smuggling? Look no further than the Starfarer. So following these back, we have these nice little like hallway areas that lead to 2 rear-facing turrets, one on each side. So one turret's here, obviously one turret's over there. Let's circle back. Yes, more maintenance tunnels. We come to the main foyer area. Look at more maintenance tunnel access, and look, that is a ladder that leads up. This is the area where we fell through. If we turn this corner and go down. So again, we go up to the multitude of elevators. We come up to the crew area. So here's the crew room with 6 beds. So you could bring a bunch of friends with you. You got your locker room, bathroom combo, male and female. And yes, they work. Next from there, we go to the cafeteria. It has a fucking cafeteria. Again, need I say more? Not only does it have a cafeteria, it's got some beautiful skylights. So while you're dining, you can look out into the stars, see the really nice picturesque space, some microwaves, and then we go to the captain's quarters. Got what looks to be like an alcohol rack, got the captain's desk, no chair yet. We have a release function, not sure what that release is just yet, and then the captain's bed. And just look how nicely well made that is. I can actually enter my bed now. Oh, that is wonderful. I'm so happy they put that in. So, as well, we also have this nice window. Captain's rest quarters, which I don't know why there isn't a door here. I feel like there should be, but, you know, I'm sure you can lock your regular door if you needed to. Little area for whatever. Hopefully they're going to have some customization options we'll be able to do in here. Then that leads us to the top main turret right here, again with the two size 5. Yeah, I want to say it's two M7As. So that the top turret alone can put out quite a lot of hurt. And that is more or less the entirety of the ship, or at least all that I wish to show you. I'm going to keep some of it secret for those of you who don't have a Starfarer. I don't want you to know where to look if you happen to board me while I'm smuggling. So this is the corner that I fell through for some reason. And as you see, we're right back into the main area. There's the bridge again. And, I mean, this ship is just awesome. There's really nothing else I can say. I really wish they kept it in the same stats and abilities as it had in 2.6, as in my opinion it was the perfect ship. It was still slow and lumbering, but it had that firepower where if you lined it up and you were far enough, you had the advantage, you know? Now, this thing doesn't turn correctly. It's a mess. I mean, if they could dial in the turning so that way it actually responded, so when I turned left it would turn, not just hang there sometimes, or if I'm turning left and try to turn right, it doesn't continue turning left for ages. Like, I understand if it continues turning left for a little bit, but not if I'm holding all the way to the right and it's still spinning left and it's on like its second or third turn. Alright, so I want to say that'll about do it for this list of my favorite ships. I figured, you know, I would save what I would call the best for last, which, in my opinion, as I stated, is in fact the Starfarer, in this case the Starfarer Gemini. I really, truly, absolutely love this ship, even after they nerfed it. I really, really hope it was just something temporarily, as the Starfarer is literally just too good. And I mean that, you know, in a way where it's a great ship, and I feel like, you know, it could be better. I hope that they bring it back to where it was in terms of its abilities, because there is nothing like having a ship of this size with the size of shield and the weapons that it has. I mean, just look at that, you know, we're just flying through. We have this nice cockpit. Oh, the best part, captain's seat. You got a full-on Picard lean and everything. Well, you'll have to take my word for it, but basically, when you're sitting in there, you've got like this little side lean going on. You've got your engineer station here, support, and as we're flying around, you know, I can get out. I'm walking around, check your stuff. I mean, I love this ship. I don't know if it's just because of its sheer size, but it definitely makes me somewhat excited for the Reclaimer. Although at the same time, I'm a little bit worried. Excuse me, I'm a little bit worried about the Reclaimer, as the weapons section on the stats page, let's be really careful walking through here, as the weapons section on the stats page kind of indicates there may not be weapons for the pilot to use, although I hope I'm just reading that incorrectly, and I hope there's at least something for the pilot to use aside from just missiles, something along those lines. And here we are, captain's quarters, nice little view. Just watching the space go by. And the thing I really like is that, you know, you've got this nice, larger type ship where you have the ability to walk around and take a peek at stuff, and, you know, hopefully, like, right in this area, they'll have something that can be worked on, you know, some component, like where that blinky light is, you know, for, like, life systems, or, you know, I don't know, something along those lines, you know. With the sheer size of it, being able to move around, it definitely feels more like a home away from home. And whenever I bring new people on here, they usually get lost. And, like, I love that. You know, it's like, oh, just go find the crew quarters, you know, go to my room, or what have you. Telling them about the cafeteria, that's also another... Oh. And I get sucked out and die. Well, I think I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below in the comment section. If you got ideas for future videos, leave them down below as well. Thank you very much for watching. All you beautiful bastards out there, have yourselves a wonderful day or night, depending on where you are. This has been Will. Love, peace, chicken grease.